Professor Menon has said. But I would say that, no, it's not that we are still talking about it. I think in the last decade or so, or in the last 15 years, there has been a conscious thinking of movement towards, using or realizing the economic value of heritage assets. But maybe not to this levels of satisfaction that we all expect or desire, or the potential is there. Now, I'll give you some examples. Tourism circuits that have developed around ancient monuments, Red Fort or Agra or anywhere else, where these tourism circuits are an example of the economic value realization of these assets. GI tags, which have been now given to certain commodities in the country, which can be exported, are a way of, realizing the economic potential of these heritage assets that we have. There are several other measures that are happening. Yes, the process is gradual. It has not happened at the pace that we would have wanted. But yes, the default option is preservation because of the mindset or the history, whatever. When the ASI was set up also, the idea was preservation because we realized that we have inherited a large number of heritage assets. Today, the ASI maintains 3,000 plus assets that we need to maintain. So the mindset was preservation initially, definitely. But as I said earlier, it is changing. And we have seen several measures that we will discuss today when we talk about, is to realize the economic value of that. And I think we are heading in that direction.
Thank you so much. Now that brings me to a point that Mr. Arvind Singh had raised just now, that India has a lot of heritage, a lot of monuments. And the question here is, can all this heritage that we have become self-sustaining without the participation of the private sector in investments, etc.? Now, or are we always destined to remain, dependent on government investment? So I think that is one question. The fact is that the government doesn't have enough resources. The government doesn't has enough resources. Is it a question of resources which are being driven thin by spreading them into all these monuments, or should we focus on pockets of excellence? I mean, take one pocket of excellence, the World UNESCO Heritage Site, Humayun's Tomb. And I'm very familiar with that because I live in the vicinity. It was handed over to the ASI in excellent condition in 1995 or 96. And today, unfortunately, that the whole quality has deteriorated, the maintenance has deteriorated, and I personally think that is a thing that we have to address, to bring in private capital and to convert it not only into maintenance and preserving, but
is it lack of capital?
Yeah, that is what I would like to ask Mr. Singh.
No, how would he go?
Anyway, Mr. Mathur, you've asked too many questions. So,
The mind is,
on one thing and the whole range. But, just to set the context and the background, I have 2 minutes for this? Or?
2 minutes.
So the context and the background is that if you see every sector in India, I have had the experience of working in airports and power and everything. There are inconsistencies in the sense that you have large-scale differentiation. In the power sector, if you see, there are the affluent consumers in the urban areas who can pay for power regularly, but you have agricultural consumers who don't have paying capacity. So when you privatize the power sector, you find that the private sector wants to come in only in the better off urban areas because, revenue returns are guaranteed. Similarly, in airports, while there are Delhi, Bombay, Mangalore and others, there are also smaller places like Kadapa or Dimapur, or where the airports are always running in a loss because any airport construction needs a lot of infrastructure capital investment. Likewise, in heritage also, there are some very well-off categories, like Red Forts or the Taj Mahal, which can be self-sufficient and they can, raise monies based on the revenues that they are earning. But as I said, ASI itself maintains about 3,000 plus assets. There are also other heritage assets in many states. For instance, in Tamil Nadu, they are maintaining so many temples, which the state government does maintain. The numbers run in thousands. Similarly, large number of assets by, maintained by the state governments. So obviously, you cannot say that private capital will take care of all, the assets, because private capital, very successful, very good models we have in many, heritage sites, but it tends to go where there is high visibility, where there is, a promise of a good return, commercial return. It will not go to, say, a step well somewhere in, interior of some state, because it doesn't give them the high visibility. So I would say it's a very complex issue in the sense that just saying that the private sector investment will come in, I don't think it will go in everywhere. So yes, you need public agencies to maintain some of the assets that will not generate enough economic return, but there is a case for getting in private capital, which it has successfully done in cases where there is economic return and good visibility, and they have shown. We have examples at Red Fort, Qutub Minar, and other places where private capital, or other places where private capital is coming in and helping in. So I think that is the nub of the issue. Now, coming to the specific Humayun tomb, it was cited as a perfect example of PPP. The Aga Khan Trust, the Tata Trust, the ASI all got together. The ASI, normally the kind of research that goes into development of by the public institutions, it was surpassed. Even the international bodies were involved in preparing the maps, and the excellent capital came in from Aga Khan Trust, public, as well as Tata's. A lot of investment went in there. So if there is a problem now, I think it's a maintenance issue, which is probably the ASI doing. So I think what we should see and look at in the future is that if the ASI is trapped for money, currently all their earnings go into the Consolidated Fund of India, and they get a budget. Obviously, that budget is not enough given the large number of assets that they are maintaining. So probably we should shift to a model like we do often in the power sector, and that is criticized as one of the banes of the power sector in India, is cross-subsidize. The better assets with more economic returns, give the body a surplus, if we can have such a system, which we don't have at the moment, and use that the surplus to subsidize and maintain the other assets better. So I hope I have been able to flesh out all the issues, but it is complex, and I don't think all assets can be treated equally, or even your point of saying some of the significant, or who decides significant assets? Because some assets may be significant for some, but may not be. These other questions come in. So I think what we'll have to say, yes, we have to go. There is importance for both private and public capital to be there. Private sector should come in places where there are returns and give good results. But just putting more money will not solve the problem. You need efficiency of spending also.
Yeah.